The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's the Bhoycie Bus Monday Club on a Tuesday. That's not the first time that's happened. But yeah, you might notice as well, something's very, very different tonight. Our illustrious leader, Russell Boyce, he's out living his best life right now, it's safe to say. But don't worry, myself and Mark CAIRNEY have stepped in tonight to take over the Monday/Tuesday club shenanigans. So, Mark CAIRNEY, how the devil are you, mate?
I'm doing great, mate. Yourself? How's things?
Not too bad, not too bad. Sunday night, mate. I guess we'll get to talk about that at some point. But yeah, obviously I saw you there. It was a good wee night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great time to meet all the rest of the podcasters and good to see the Endless Celtic show up. That was good to see them support us. And it's the first of many, hopefully, and the next one will be bigger and better.
Aye, definitely. It was really fun to meet some regular commenters as well. So I was excited meeting them. You know, they're coming on and introduce themselves.
It's a bit bizarre because you don't realise that people know who you are, you know what I mean, until they walk up and say, "Oh, hi Mark," or "Hi Phil," and they kind of thank you for the show, etc. But it was nice meeting them all, and it was a great wee experience, that part of it. So let's just give them a good show tonight to make up for it.
Indeed. You, of course, were the quiz winner on the night, mate. You were having a wee sing song as well, top of the league, mate. You smashed it there and amongst all the carnage. But yes, I can confirm Mark did indeed win the quiz. If you didn't pick up on that, if you were there live. So well done, Mark. Well done. You did get 100%. You did the double down. You did get 100%. So you are in the club. So
well, if you actually think about it, I've done 2 quizzes now and I've got 100% on both of them. So technically, I should just retire for the quizzes.
You should, mate. You've got to go to the top, mate.
I can't get any better.
Exactly, mate. No, so well done, mate. But no, we've definitely got to talking. We will at the Bullfrog as the night goes on because people have been asking, "Where's the videos and stuff like that?" Last time I was on Endless Celtics, people were asking, "Where's the videos, Phil?" And I was like, "Well," I said, "I think that might have been planned, but no, it just wasn't going to happen." So there might be pictures and maybe phone videos out there that might see the light of day someday. Who knows? We shall see.
I doubt it.
I hope no. I hope not. But anyway, we'll move on to some talking points tonight. Now, obviously, we need to start on a little bit of a somber note because, one of the legendary Lisbon Lions from back in the 60s, John Yogi Hughes, passed away the other day. Now, obviously, as to you're 38, I do believe, Mark, and I'm 36. I think that's right. I hope I didn't insult you there, did I?
I'm 38 this year, mate. I try not to
Yeah.
stop me anymore. That'll do me, mate. I'll accept
I'm
that.
37 in a few days, mate. So there you go. My birthday.
Oh, right, okay. I only get a reminder on my phone.
So it's no it's been creeping up on me, but yeah, obviously it's been a bit more of a time, but no doubt about it. You know, we know the name John Yogi Hughes. It's synonymous with Celtic. Say my dad's told me many stories about him. Of course, watching archive footage and so forth. Today, I've seen lots of different tributes across the Celtic YouTube sphere. But yeah, things like the legendary goal against Leeds in the semi-final, the European Cup semi-final, when the mighty Leeds, supposed to be the best team, the team of the decade, they were called, came up to Scotland. We beat them down in Leeds and we beat them in Glasgow. But yeah, John Hughes with an absolutely sublime header where he beats Jackie Charlton to it as well. But he gets down so low for it. It's like a type of header that Andy Gray would become synonymous with a few years after that. But yeah, I've also remember like some of the other stuff when you've seen him on like, you know, DVDs and stuff. I remember in the official history DVD, he was talking about they played Dukla Prague in the semi-final, I do believe, before they got to Lisbon. I believe it was, and he just talks about, you know, missing out on that game and how he felt about it. I always remember he's like, I don't blame Big Jock for drop me because I was absolutely rid rotten against Dukla Prague. I always remember that wee clip and it shows him running through one-on-one and he fluffed a chance. But he was one of Celtic's all-time greats in terms of like centre forwards. His numbers speak for themselves. But Mark, I believe you've got a few wee things to say about John Hughes.
Well, definitely, mate. You're talking about a guy here who's he's a legend for any Celtic fan. You know what I mean? The 1967 squad will always be remembered, and his name is synonymous with success at Celtic. The guy scored 189 goals in 416 appearances. That's a great record, especially at a time where fitness wasn't a major thing in football. So these guys were having to play through pain barriers quite a lot in almost muddy fields like the Somme. These guys managed to keep themselves fit enough to play 400 or 500 games in a 10, 12-year career. That's amazing. I mean, I've got to run doing his honours here. He's got a European Cup to his name, 7 league medals, 4 Scottish Cups, 5 League Cups, and 4 Glasgow Cups. He's also got a few charity cups there as well. That's a phenomenal record for any football player. Yeah. And it almost marks a man in the special place that he's in. When I read today one of his quotes saying, he doesn't want to be remembered for anything else other than just being a good Celtic man. And that's good. All you can ask for any Celtic player, especially nowadays where money's all that matters. And he was part of an era that money wasn't always hand in hand with football players, and a lot of them retired with not much more than a handshake and, if they were lucky, a testimonial match. So the guy was always available for supporters dances, etc. And I've only ever heard good things about him. I never met the guy. I'm pretty sure my dad did over the years at supporters functions, etc. But just want to wish his family all the best. And I speak to his son John every now and again on Twitter, etc. And he always seems a nice guy. And just want to wish his family and all the best. And it's a bit a darker place, Celtic Twitter today and Celtic family in general, with the passing of his dad. So good luck to them all.
Yeah, well said, Mark. Well said, mate. Some good words there. And yeah, I mean, the statistics speak for themselves. The roll of honour there that you just read out, just goes to prove it. And keep in mind, he didn't even play in Lisbon. It was and also another one that missed out was like Joe McBride through injury and stuff like that. You forget the 11 that played, legends obviously, but there's so many other players at that team as well that could have probably the same result if one of them had got a start as well. Because that's how good that Celtic team was. Yeah, big Yogi Hughes. He'll be sadly missed in the Celtic family, no doubt about it, mate. I'm just reading some of the comments going by as well, some dedications as well. There's a few shout outs as well to my dad as well, I've noticed as well, for he appeared on Sunday, a few people saying about him. I've seen a few going up and down here. And also I've seen Pat he's came in about his anyone take my advice and back Welsh first, 30-31, 14 anytime. Anyone out there done it? Because speaking
that was my shout. Welsh getting a goal on Sunday. I don't know if anybody tuned in on Sunday, but if you haven't watched the show, you just don't, because it'll just be a farce now. But I tipped Welsh for first goal scorer, and I also tipped Jota for man of the match, if anybody remembers.
Yeah, I got a wee reprieve there for Stevie Welsh, but no, it was we'll get on to the Aberdeen game in a moment. But just speaking of the odds there, just like obviously myself and Russell, we debuted the Bookie bashing show on Friday night, and all I can say, a little preview for this coming Friday's one. we're doing obviously a table. Myself and Russell, the two guys are hosting it. We're both joint bottom of the table right now. So whatever you do, folks, no matter what we say on Friday, talking about this might happen, if it, don't listen to what we say and gamble responsibly, because clearly me and Russell don't know what we're talking about. That one was filled me with dread. I filled in the league table at the weekend. I was like, I'm joint bottom. So yeah, I'm off to a stinker in that one. But yeah, that'll be for Friday. So yeah, we'll get on, Mark, to the game at the weekend. Celtic 2 Aberdeen. Now that's Celtic now up and running. The new season is here. Competitive football is here. No more friendlies. Yeah. But yeah, it was phenomenal to be at the game on Sunday. I think right away from the very, very start, just that rendition of Grace by Liam McGrandles just set the tone. It was absolutely thunderous in the stadium. Just it felt like every time the chorus came around, it got louder and louder each time. But yeah, that was like proper like hair standing up on your arms type of thing. But yeah, then the rendition, You Never Walk Alone as well. You know, that's what I think the club envision it to be like every week when they play You'll Never Walk Alone at some games, and it's like. That's what you really want it to be. But yeah, it's phenomenal. Of course, what a start we get. You know, we get a corner early on, no short corners, no set piece moves, nothing like that. Just get it in the box. And yes, Stevie Welsh, a wee glancing header, mate, to open the scoring. But yeah, as we joked about as well with the wee point did. But no, it's good to see him get a goal, and it just it improves his confidence and gives Ange some good options at the moment. Because obviously centre back's a little bit of a I don't say a worrying position, but with the Julian debacle, is he staying, is he going? Jens has just came in. There's talk he might have had an injury or a knock, and there was worries in the run up to the game. Obviously, Starfelt's still out, so it's good to see that Welsh was able to come in and contribute in such a big way, mate.
That was great to see him. He took his chance. I mean, the goal he scored, it was quite, as you mentioned, Yogi Hughes' goal against Leeds. That was using your neck muscles correctly, and I think if you actually look at the goal closely, Stephen Welsh timed his header perfectly, but he used a lot of his neck muscles just to guide that ball in the bottom corner, and he did a really good job. I mean, all kidding aside, I gave the guy a lot of stick, but and I stand by some of the criticism, Phil, because a goal every 9 months isn't going to cut it for me, and he's not there to score goals. The guy's there to defend, and he's defending and leaves a lot to be desired sometimes. But I'll not go into that. But the display itself before the match, I'm going to go one further than what I read. I think it was better than the one at Barcelona. I think it was outstanding. I mean, the logistics of that is incredible. You get 60,000 people there, all participating, and it takes a great level of cooperation by everybody that's doing it to make that banner work. But the actual imagination and, as I say, the work behind it is phenomenal. And these guys at the Green Brigade, take a lot of stick from a lot of sections of the fans, myself sometimes as well, but to pull that off is phenomenal. And I was one of the ones that put my wee banner and put it back in my chair again for them to reuse. They'd asked us to do that because it helps save them money in the future. But yeah, it was really good, and I felt that it kicked the game off, the day off, sorry, in the right manner. I felt like with the sunny weather and Flag Day and that, it just felt like a phenomenal atmosphere for the Celtic players coming out. And it doesn't matter what team you play for, walking out to that, and you've got to be intimidated and impressed at the same times. And give Aberdeen their due. There was a goal in the first 3 minutes. It took them about half an hour to compose themselves. Ironically, because of a Welsh mistake in the box, gave them a wee bit of encouragement. And but fair dues to them, they were playing out from the back quite a lot, which I noticed. I was quite impressed with their willingness to do that at Celtic Park when they were 1-0 down, and I quite like that. It shows a wee bit of confidence in your ability that you're able to go to probably the toughest stadium in the country and impose yourself. Okay, you haven't got the players to carry it on just yet, but it's got to start somewhere, and I think more of that is needed in Scotland. We ask for teams to come to Celtic Park and forget that it's all about diving and taking your time at corners and throw-ins. Play your football, play your tactics. And Aberdeen showed that on Sunday, and Celtic ran out 2-0 winners. It could have been 4 or 5 all told. But I feel like a lot of credit's got to go to Celtic for coming back after Aberdeen getting back into the game, but also Aberdeen deserve a bit of credit for starting off in a good fashion. I think the fans that showed up to the stadium probably can't be too disappointed in how the game went for them, because they actually played not too bad.
It wasn't too bad at all, but I know what you mean as well, but we should have been out of sight at times because there was, again, I don't want to say frustration because at the end of the day we won the game 2-0, but I know that Ange himself came out after the game and still said there was some room for improvement and so forth. And I think he even picked out Jota and actually said, he was guilty of, wasting possession and stuff like that, especially the sort of tail end of the first half. But again, there was a familiar story with quite a few, passes, a lot of passing that fell for the sake of it instead of just having a pop at goal. A lot of decisions in the final third where they were treating it like a hot potato, but they were just trying to get it away as quickly as possible. Sometimes lacking a wee bit of composure. And as I was saying when I was talking to Stephen Thompson last night, he's like, when we're going into these European games with this Champions League and stuff like that, we're not going to see as much of the ball as we do, and we're not going to get as many chances as we do. So we need to be so sharp in front of goal and take these chances if they come. Because I said the example I used was Bayer Leverkusen last season. They are a top 3 team in the Champions League this year. And even though we lost 4-0 to them last year, we still made a hell of a lot of chances that night. So it's going to be so crucial that we don't waste these opportunities when they come. But there was a few moments where they were, passing. It felt there was one right for half time. In fact, that it just felt McGregor on the edge. It felt a few different midfielders on the edge of the box, and they just seemed to open up each time, and they kept passing it. And then it ended with McGregor passing it through to I think either Jota or Kyogo, who stuck it in the net, and it was flagged offside anyway. But it was just like, I just get those shots away quicker and say there's a few moments like we're pushing forward and a few just a rush decision, and it's just a wee bit of composure from time to time, because again, if you give those type of passes away, even up in the opposition final third in a European game, a Champions League game, we could still easily get punished with the pace that some of these teams will break on. No doubt about it, mate. What was your feeling on the sort of not wasted chances, but just the sort of general attacking play overall?
I think the occasion got to the players, mate. I thought the actual hype around the game and the pre-match build-up made the players want to impress as much as possible. That leads to a wee bit of, showboating, etc. And I think the Celtic players did get caught up in a wee bit in it, you know what I mean? And the perfect goal we wanted to score, it just didn't come. The second goal itself was a thing of beauty, but I think the tippy-tappy stuff was great. We were getting around the box, we were getting wide. I think the decision to switch Maeda and Jota was good for Jota, but not very good for Maeda. We can see his limited ability sometimes come into play when he's playing on the right. I said before, he's like a kid at a wedding, sometimes with that ball at his feet. And but sometimes when you get Jota on the left, I think he just lights up the park. And that's one of the things that's one of my takes from Sunday is maybe there's an argument for Jota and Abada to play rather than Jota and Maeda, but that's probably for a different show, Phil. But I do feel like Sunday was a mixture of the occasion and the players try to impress rather than rustiness. I think that'll be kicked out of them in training Monday and Tuesday. I think Ange is no one for occasions and sentiment. I think he'll speak to the players about chances they've missed. I dare say they've maybe watched the game back once or twice already, and I think moments in the match we could have killed it off. I think he'll bring them up. There was a moment where Johnny Hayes missed a glorious chance. Actually, I sat next to you, also. To us, it looked worse than it actually was. When you see it on TV, he actually just tried to place it in the only really area he could. It was just, and he just hit the ball too straight. But it looked a bit a sitter for when me and you sit. Yep. We got away with that one. But I think overall, the performance was good. I mean, the stats sometimes lie, but they didn't lie the other day there. We totally dominated the ball. We dominated possession, chances. It was just one of those games that it could end 6-0. It could end 2-0 as it did. But sometimes it could turn into a draw. Sometimes you can draw those matches 1-1. And we had the same sort of game last year when we scored. Callum McGregor scored a lucky goal. We won 2-1. I
remember that one.
Yeah, we were dominating possession, dominating the game, and sometimes those goals just don't go in. And the longer the game goes on, the tippy-tappy stuff becomes infuriating to the support, and it didn't get to that stage. But if it got to the last 10 minutes or so, I think Ange would have been a bit more animated. Although I was watching him at certain periods during the match. I don't know if you noticed him, he wasn't as impressed as what his match interview led us to believe. He was quite animated on the touchline. So he was.
I'm encouraged by that. I'm encouraged to hear stuff like that.
I love that. I love to see a Celtic manager never rest on his laurels. I mean, if we want to be bigger, better and stronger, that that comes from when you're winning matches and try to improve to that next level.
Mhm.
You know, 1-2-0 was all great and good, but there's still moments in the match where you had to be that more clinical and dangerous and ruthless in defence as well. You know, don't let the ball. I hate any defender letting the ball bounce.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
and I'm not trying to have a go at the guy, but Welsh let the ball over his shoulder a couple of times to bounce, and I think that's kind of in the defending handbook is you don't let a ball over your head and bounce because it just creates mayhem.
Yeah.
I think Chris Ayer was very guilty of it, if you remember, Phil, when
Yeah.
used to cause a lot of dramas for the Celtic goalkeeper at the time.
Is that the one? I think it was in the first half where him and Joe Hart seemed to have a wee sort of not miscommunication. It didn't turn into a disaster, but the two of them seemed to go for the same ball. Eventually, Hart did scoop it up, but it was a kind of moment of hesitancy there where it was bounced over towards Hart, but Welsh was going for it at the same time, so it seemed like a wee bit. But that could also be down to the boys not being in the first team that regular, but
These things happen, Phil.
yeah, they do, mate. And also, I know your vision isn't great, Mark, at the best of times, but I don't know if you can see that comment on the screen just now, mate.
What's it say, buddy?
For anyone interested, Union 2, Rangers 0. There's a live score for you, mate. A live update.
I'm gonna be honest with you. One thing about Rangers is you can never write them off in Europe. When it comes to European football, they're a very, very capable team. So I wouldn't actually take any notice about how that game goes tonight.
If that game ends quite a narrow score line, they go back to Ibrox, then you would probably need Union to score a couple more.
They're a very good European team, mate, to be fair to them.
They showed it, but we'll move on.
I'm fucking delighted if they get beat 2-0. I'll laugh at night, go to sleep, but I'll no celebrate it.
I'll edit this show in post-production and I'll edit it accordingly. We'll do two different versions once we're finished. But yeah, we'll move on to some other moments in the game. The one thing I hate to bring it up, it's the first game of the season. Obviously, we're Celtic fans, but we need to talk about the R-word referees. Mr. Walsh, no surprise here. I don't think we got much protection, particularly Rio Hitati. He seems to be battered and bruised by the end of the game. He actually went off injured as well. Ironically, it was a mouth injury after the gum shield thing last week. People saying, "Oh no, he's wearing a blue gum shield," and then he ended up getting his mouth busted open. But there was an incident in the first half. I believe it's an Albanian midfielder that they brought in called Ramadani or something like that. A wee sly dig in the back. Nick Walsh wants to play on, realizes there isn't an advantage, and just gives him a wee stern finger wag, But yeah, are you even surprised about that? No protection. See, Hitati was just getting thrown all over the place in that game, I felt.
No, I feel like the referees in Scotland are a fucking shambles, to be quite honest with you, you know what I mean? And no, just because it's Celtic, I'm pretty sure every club fans just hold their hands in their heads sometimes, and just watch how these referees get away with the performances they put out. You know, there was a moment in the first half that Hitati got one in the spine. He was down for about 2 minutes. I thought he was going to come off the park, and then a few minutes added on at half time. I thought that was ridiculous. Second half, Hitati get his mouth busted open. The referee just called the player over, wagged his finger in his face, and waved on. It was also a penalty decision. I thought it was a penalty. Hitati, he actually gets a shot away. Look at it closely. The Aberdeen player just lunges his body into the Celtic player, head first, so just launches himself. No attempt at a tackle, just a body slam you would see on that wrestling you watch, Phil. It just looks.
Yep.
And maybe the fact that Hitati managed to get a foot on the ball kind of made the referee's decision for him that he wasn't going to give a penalty, but it's a penalty all day long, mate. And I'm pretty sure Jim Goodwin would have problems with the referee as well on Sunday. I can't remember many decisions going against Aberdeen, but the fact of the matter is there probably was, mate. And that's actually a bad thing. That's just incompetence, mate, you know. And I thought we had a good day for Scottish football with Bobby Madden going down to England, and you saw his performance last weekend, how much a disaster he is, you know. And but we're still stuck with Nick Walsh. Hugh Dallas's son was his name, Andrew Dallas.
Andrew Dallas.
We've got the what do you call him? The beating the referee after a derby match went to a Rangers supporters club after the referees a Celtic Rangers match at Ibrox, and these are just things you don't see in many countries, mate. You know, it's a weird setup we've got, and I think the fee per match is £1,200 for a referee. So, but the thing is with referees in Scotland, they've got full-time jobs. A lot of them are solicitors and lawyers, and they earn a good salary. Now, see if this is going to be a part-time hobby for them. £12 a week is a lot of money for somebody to earn full-time.
Yeah.
Now, there's an argument that, a very daft argument that's saying that referees going full-time wouldn't help make decisions. Well, I don't know anybody that gets worse by practice.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gets worse by practice, mate. So if you're out 5-6 days a week, constantly at seminars, constantly training, going through drills, it's going to make your mind sharper. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying the guys aren't fit, but turn up to Celtic Park on a Saturday at 12 o'clock and play a match isn't a build up to a match that's shown around the world. And I think VAR is going to be used as a way for justifying bad decisions rather than helping out teams like Celtic. I think they're going to use it as ways to justify the most mediocre challenges into red cards, yellow cards, penalties. It's not going to help in Scottish football because they still get the same arseholes making decisions behind the scenes, mate. I mean, England's full of full-time referees and they're paid handsomely.
Yep.
And they're making a big arse out themselves, mate. So see when we get it in Scotland, what's the difference going to be that somebody sitting with a laptop at mate, do you know that they're actually advertising for the posts online, so they were a few months ago for people to work as the VAR specialists. I mean, that guys like myself and you could apply for it. It was fucking ridiculous, you know. And
man.
And this country, I mean, a lot of the managers are knowing a lot of money, mate. So these decisions can cost guys the sack, you know what I mean, cost them their jobs. And I just think you got to start taking it seriously. If referees don't want to lose their 60, 70 grand a year jobs full time, then see the part-time job at referees, give it up and let a new generation of referees come through. It might take 2-3 years before we get to see the benefit of that, maybe, but we have to move on a wee bit here and realise that there's millions of fans around the world watching Scottish football throughout the season, and we have to get serious with it. And with 60,000 fans turned up to Celtic Park on Sunday, and not one of them, even Aberdeen fans, would have been happy with that referee's performance. And that's not bias, mate, that's just incompetence.
No, again, that's the thing. And I think we need the club, when we do have a bad refereeing performance in games that we win, that's where we need to be vocal about it. But it always feels like Celtic, well, in the past, not so much in the last year, because Ange doesn't seem to let that excuse be used in any way. But it does feel like over the years, it's always wait till we've dropped points, we've lost or we've drawn, and then it looks like sour grapes. The only time I can ever remember is actually kicking up a fuss about a game that we've won was the infamous Dougie McDonald incident, the one up at Tannadice in 2010, the Gary Hooper penalty. With Stephen Craven, the linesman. We won that game in the end, and it resulted in referees going on strike for a couple of weeks, and we got a foreign refs in, and Celtic were.
They blame Celtic for that, Phil. The papers the next day said that Celtic could get the game in Scotland stopped, and we had a referee first of all get caught on videotape on his microphone, and then the assistant referee tell the adjudicator that he was asked to lie to stop Celtic getting a penalty. These are facts. These are facts of the matter. Celtic complained about this like any other club should do. And what happened is the referee stepped down. The referee wasn't sacked, actually. He stepped down, and Celtic were made to be like this agitating force in Scottish football. I mean, I remember the fact when we got the referees in, I think it was a guy from Iceland that refereed us. I think we drew 1 each against Inverness. I'd have to double check that.
I think you're right. We definitely dropped points, and of course everyone was laughing at us because, look at that, Celtic, you forced in foreign refs, you still drop points.
That wasn't the point. I dare say the referee that match was better, Phil. And if you remember the papers that week, and they had all referees on radio stations. They had PFA guys speaking on for interviews saying that it could get the game stopped. It's heating pressure on the referees. Now, if a referee, I'll get back onto it, if a referee's assistant says in a meeting that he was asked to lie to stop Celtic getting a penalty, and this is a fact, this is what he said, and his microphone was picked up by his boss in the stand who watches the games, heard him say, "Tell me you saw offside, tell me you saw offside," and the guy had to pretend it was offside to stop Celtic from getting a penalty. Now, luckily we scored in the 95th minute to win the match anyway, so the referee didn't get his wish that day, but they tried to stop Celtic from getting a penalty. And that's baffling how that's allowed to just go under the carpet, and it just sums this country up, mate. The distrust we've all got amongst each other. That the narrative around that story was that Celtic had agitated a move to get referees in Scotland to be biased towards them, which just wasn't the case at all. There was a guy caught basically cheating, and it's not the first time. Let's be quite honest with you. You know what I mean? It's not the first time this guy get caught cheating, and they had to actually resign. They didn't even get the sack. They couldn't even have the boys to sack the guy. But that's Scottish football for you, mate. And by the way, imagine if they had microphones in the early 80s and 90s, the stuff they would have picked up.
Oh,
I mean, who was the referee? Waddle back in the day, the big fat referee
Andrew Waddle.
The guy who, I mean, this guy used to do Mason handshakes and everything before the matches with the Rangers players. I mean, this is facts as well. You can look at the pictures and look at stories from all Rangers players who didn't quite like some of it. This is Rangers players who didn't like it, you know. And going to a wee tangent here, mate, but it's still on the same point with referees, mate. You know what I mean? It seems to be this sort of protection bracket around referees because they're doing this seemingly impossible job. It's not impossible. No Celtic fan, Rangers fan, or any football fans expects referees to get every decision correct, because that's just hysterical. What we're expecting is a level of competence. You get players on the park whose livelihoods depend on it, and the management and fans who are investing money and time and love into the game. And the referees can't match that. They shouldn't be doing it.
It's well, you mentioned the old referees there as well. I'm sure some of our older viewers will remember this, but my namesake, there was a referee named Brian McGinlay who then went on to do the after dinner speaking circuit at Rangers events and would get up and say things. I made sure I never gave the bastards anything. The bastards referring to, of course, was us, Celtic. And when we're talking about Dougie McDonald and talking about that era, I actually mentioned this last week when I did the 07-08 Nostalgia episode. There was the infamous game where Dundee United got absolutely shafted at Ibrox and Mike McCurry was the referee. And he's another one that does after dinner speaking events now at Rangers dinners and stuff. And it's like, I mean, we've even got managers even going on podcasts of other teams as well. And that's another story as well. So it's like only in this country this shit happened.
Well, just so you know, I'm going to say it online. I'm not even told Russell yet. I've actually emailed Livingston Football Club to ask for permission to speak to David Martindale on the podcast. I don't normally announce these things, but I thought, well, let's just see how this goes, mate. I think it's only fair that the guy gets a chance to come on and answer a few questions. And first of all, the first question I would like to ask him was, what made him think it'd be a good idea to go on a Rangers podcast in a Livingston fan's point of view the day after his club get beat. If Celtic lost against Aberdeen on Sunday and Jim Goodwin was if Celtic get beat off a team and our manager was on the other team's fans podcast, I think that manager at Celtic would be in a very sugary peg. And so I've asked him to come on. I'm going to say that online here. I don't normally do that sort of thing. We email quite a lot of clubs and a lot of people for requests for interviews, but I've asked tonight if he come on the show, so we'll see what happens there. I think first of all, the guy deserves a chance. He deserves a chance to explain why he did it. He also deserves a chance to explain maybe comments that were picked up wrongly by the press. You know, the press are like to twist things around a wee bit, and then also like to ask him why he's referring to Rangers players and we loving names like Tav and Scotty.
Tav does what he does.
If Celtic get beat off Aberdeen and Johnny Hayes scored and Ange Postecoglou said, wee Hazy, he scored some goal today or whatever, I would be absolutely fucking livid, mate. I'd be raging, so I would, and I would like to know these answers. And so we'll see what happens. I only sent the email about an hour ago, mate, so we'll see where it goes from that, and I'll give the club every chance to respond to me. They're busy people, so we'll see how long it takes, because it took them not too long to respond to a request from was it follow? What was the podcast called? Sorry, it was his
Fever or something like that.
Battle Fever, a very staunch name, and
that's very staunch.
Very staunch, mate. So we're a bit more casual. We're Celtic, the Bhoycie Bus. That's quite casual. So the guy's more than welcome to come on the show. Me and Russell will speak to him, give the guy a chance. he gave him the respect the guy deserves. He's a football manager and he's done a really good job at Livingston. So
Ryan Taylor was commenting the night before. He says Tav did what Tav does, wins fuck all. Yes, yes indeed. Ryan Taylor, well said.
Well, what you could say is really, according to Hugh Keevans, there's a pendulum swinging between Celtic and Rangers. Celtic have won 10 out of 11 trophies, league titles, 16 out of 21. But according to Hugh Keevans, that's a pendulum. So, see, in Taverniers, or we'll call him Tav, in Tav's defence, he's got a swinging pendulum between him and Scott Brown with trophies. Okay, Scott Brown won 26 and he won 1, but it's still a pendulum, isn't it?
Pendulum needs oiled. I think it's stuck in one direction right now. It's
aye, mate.
It's WD-40 on it, mate, to get it moving again.
Aye, mate. I think to say that there's a merry-go-round for the SPL trophy in Scotland when they've won 1 out of 11 is borderline fucking hysterical, mate, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, no. It's just a pure hysterical headline just to generate a bit of clickbait and a few purchases and newspapers and stuff like that. The usual sensationalist nonsense. Just
clickbait from a dickhead, mate. That's what it was.
That's all it is. But yeah, there you go. I knew referees would always get us onto a good tangent, but that's we'll move on from that refereeing performance. But we'll talk about the other big positive from the game. Obviously, that goal by Jota. As I was saying earlier on, bit of frustration where, you know, it's a lot of passing, trying to score the perfect goal. But in the second half, Jota just cut in for David Turnbull passes it in from out wide. He just beats a couple of players and then he just lashed it right in the top corner. I'm in, I say 139. I'm in. If you walk through the doors at 139, I'm right there at the top of the stairs. And
yeah, no, we are.
Perfect eye line for it. And as I said last night, I was talking to Steve, see if that net wasn't there, it was probably coming right at my face because I could just see the trajectory of it as soon as it left his feet. I was just like, oh, what a screamer, and the noise in the stadium and the celebrations when it went in. Because that was a wee bit of relief as well, because you did feel like, I've seen this one before in the last 12 months where we have like a good performance first half. We've only got a narrow lead. The second half, we sort of lose our way a wee bit. So you were kind of worried that, a wee slip here, but once that second goal went in, that was it. But Mark, man, that was an absolute screamer. Could be a goal of the season contender already, and we're only a game in. What a goal, Jota.
Oh, it was magical, mate. And I sit just above you. I'm in 440, so my view is literally in the three stanchions that hold the goal net up. The middle pole was literally the middle in my view, so I get right down the middle. And same as you, mate. As soon as that ball left his foot, I just was waiting for the net to bustle. And it was one of the ones I was kind of shouting "shoot" myself, because you could just sometimes you can see an angle being made, and it also reminded me a wee bit of John Hartson's goal at Anfield. The way he just kind of lost his body shape and then recovered just to smack it in the top corner. And I just thought it was a beautiful goal. I think Paddy Roberts scored a very similar goal against Aberdeen, actually, at Celtic Park a few years back. And what a goal, what a player he is. And that goal did kill that game off, because it only takes a referee decision, a lapse in concentration at the back, Aberdeen score, and it's 10 men behind the ball. And before you know it, Sunday's taking a different twist, you know what I mean? And mate, it was a fantastic goal, made all by himself. And I know David Turnbull gets an assist officially, but that was totally his goal, mate. And just kind of summed up the level of the guys that, I thought his game was at some points 10 out of 10, some points 5 out of 10. I think Ange touched on it full time. But I also think that was reverse psychology for Ange. I think Ange was saying, okay, you were man of the match, you scored a world-class goal, but I'm expecting more of you. So I think he knew what he was doing, and I think the Celtic support kind of buy into what's happening on the park, and they can see when the manager's comments are there to lift the players up to the next level rather than criticise them.
The one thing I was going to ask you about the end of the game, so obviously we're going up to Ross County this week, going to be a very physical game, I'd imagine, tight pitch. Giakoumakis came on the tail end against Aberdeen. I thought he put himself around really well, as Giakoumakis does. So going into this weekend's game, because obviously Kyogo had again, all the movement was there. There was a couple of chances that he snatched at. There was one in particular that came across the goal and he slid at it and he just couldn't direct into the net. But I say Giakoumakis, he came on, he just gave the Aberdeen defence a bit of trouble. So this coming Saturday, because it's a Saturday game we're playing, what would you go with, Giakoumakis or Kyogo? Because I think that's probably the biggest sort of team or player, the starting 11 debate going into this game, because I think everything else is pretty settled for what it'll be, but could be a headache for Ange, that one.
Well, I totally agree, mate. And the reason I'm going to pick Giakoumakis for two reasons. I think There's certain games that need physicality from a striker, and I think Ross County away is one of them. Running in behind, we can rely on the likes of Jota and our players to get to the byline. So I'm kind of happy with that. So Giakoumakis for me starts, but one thing I'd like to say, I think we'll go to play Jota on the left and Abada on the right. I think Maeda has got a good record at Celtic. You know, he gets in fantastic positions, and his work rate is the best I've ever seen in my life of any team. But I just think he's got limited ability, mate. And I think sometimes in certain games like this, we need to make the most of our chances. And I think Jota on the left is far better than Jota on the right. Although Jota on the right is a very capable player, he's a very skillful player. But what we noticed on Sunday was when Jota came onto the left, he just lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yep.
And his goal came from the left. He just cut inside, and I don't think he's scoring that coming in from the right, Phil. I don't think he goes in from the right and then has to move his body and reshape and his shirt. He's not going to do that.
Yep.
I think there's a case for Abada getting some game time. I thought Abada's pre-season when he played was pretty good. You know, he seemed to have had a wee second lease of life. His first part of the season was really good. He got a wee injury, and then he's kind of phased out the team a wee bit. But pre-season, the minutes he's had, he's looked really sharp, you know, and he's still only 20-year-old, and maybe a couple of months out of the team was probably justified from the manager's point of view, but also from the player needs that sometimes, especially a young player. They need to get a wee bit of reminder sometimes that they're not made it just yet. They're at a big club, and you're going to have to be 7, 8 out of 10 every week, or your jersey's under threat. So I think I would make 2 changes if I could. Or if I'd make 3. I'd bring in Jens or Staffelt for Welsh. Sorry to say that, Stephen Welsh. Great goal, but not for me, son. But I think Abada should start. And I think Giakoumakis. And actually, in an ideal world, I actually think Tony Ralston is due a run. I mean, I thought Ralston, Juranovic had a great shot in the second half, mate, but his performance was pretty poor, if you ask me, mate. He got caught out a couple of times down the left-hand side, and it goes unnoticed, mate. I think a lot of his mistakes, they only get a wee small groan in the support, whereas when you see somebody like Welsh make a mistake or Taylor jump in too early, the fans are really quick to go on his back. But Juranovic has got this invisibility cloak, and he just seems to get away with these things, which is fine. We've all got our favourites. But in an ideal world, I'd have Ralston playing, but three changes for me. Welsh out for Jens, and Giakoumakis for me has got to start. Yep. And also, I wouldn't mind seeing Leo Abada come in on the right hand side and Jota on the left for Maeda.
Nice, good shout. Now, quickly before we go on to the final point, we need to address this. So, Monty says, don't understand the radio silence from the Bullfrog. This was an event that was well advertised beforehand on here. Surely those who were there are worthy of a review of the night. Fuck's sake, man. Right. I was on Endless Celts last night, Monty. I don't know if you've seen the episode, and I spoke a wee bit about it, right? Because I arrived at 8:15, about 15 minutes before the show was actually going to be starting. So I didn't know during the day, because I know that Russell and a few other boys were there to get it all set up. So I don't know what the logistics was, but we basically decided that to try and get it filmed and do it live, especially because, I mean, even what we're doing right now, Monty, you maybe don't know this, it's actually quite difficult to get all of this in coordination, just doing it from, on StreamYard from our homes and stuff like that. So to try and do it live from a venue, it was going to be a bit difficult. But obviously there might have been the option, could have recorded the show and then uploaded it as a separate podcast, but that decision wasn't made. But yeah, I mean, I think when Russell's on, he'll be back on Thursday night to do the TNF with Connor and David. I think there'll be a lot more said about it then from the man himself. But basically, I could tell you this. The first segment was post-match pitch on the Aberdeen game with Terry, Regan, David and Russell did that. Then we had the quiz in the middle hosted by Jonathan, which Mark here won against Conor McCann and Dale. And then the last segment of the night was myself and Russell sat and done a Q&A. Now, one thing that did hamper is Russell said this last week that we were told we were going to go until 1 a.m. The place would be open to 1 a.m., but something changed along the way. So it did kind of result in the Q&A at the end getting a little bit rushed. But overall, that was the 3 segments that we did. And yeah, I'd say it was a good fun night overall. It was the first time we've ever done anything like that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed meeting all the members. I say when Russell comes on Thursday, he'll probably give you more of a review of it and so forth. But yeah, it definitely did happen. It wasn't a fever dream, and we're not making it up. And there are people in the comments who can verify it because they were there. Gary Brown was there, John Duncan was there, David Ferguson was there. Because I met these people in person, they shook their hands, I actually met them. So I could definitely verify that it did happen. But say, Monty, don't worry. You will get a full review from the man himself, because Russell has definitely got he's better a talker than me, basically. He'll be able to go through it in much more detail. But yeah, we basically decided the logistics of it, try to make it, it's hard enough, as I say, try to compete with dodgy internet connections and stuff like that.
Phil, even if you weren't going to put it on live, which would be a nightmare, putting it on live you'd have to have somebody sitting there constantly monitoring the screen for voice traffic, for interference with the Wi-Fi, but also it was done in a pub lounge, and it's hard for to get the background noise to be at a level where you can hear clearly. So I think for the quality of the show, I think it was decided on the night that it probably wouldn't be the best to record the full show and do it live. I think there was talk of these segments being filmed and put out as a wee kind of advert for the show itself, which might happen. I think there was some filming being done. Russell speak about that himself, but it's not as easy as just doing it like that, guys. I think the next time we do it, it might be a possibility to do a stream where that's live or no. I really would doubt. I don't know any inside information, but to do a live stream from outside a studio or where we do it normally is very difficult. It relies on Wi-Fi and it's live on YouTube, so if you fuck that up, there's no taking it back down again, you know what I mean? Well, you could erase a video, but for the quality of the show, we wanted it to be done is the best we could, and that wouldn't have came across well on Sunday. So I think the decision was made just to respect the people who came to watch it, and unfortunately, it meant some of the people who couldn't travel the distance, they missed out. But one thing I guarantee them all is that there'll be more chances to come and see us, and it'll be in a bigger venue.
David Logue has confirmed that he's one of the ones that came early with Russell to set it up. So David says pub didn't have Wi-Fi, guys. I helped set up and we couldn't stream it, unfortunately. So that's it. Pub didn't have Wi-Fi. It was that simple, and that was one of the massive problems. So yeah, I didn't know that. I only turned up at 8:15 and we were going on at 8:30, so I didn't know what the whole logistics of it was. But yeah, David was there early in the day to try and get it set up, so he's verified it for us. Basically, the pub didn't have Wi-Fi. That's what it came down to at the end of the day. But hey, I say the next one, don't worry, we'll get that. That'll be also a plus. We see where the laptop was actually positioned and the way it was. Somebody would have to have sat there and make sure the laptop didn't go into like idle or anything at any point. And
it'll take somebody sitting sober all night and somebody constantly monitoring the visuals and the audio. It's probably a bit of a task for somebody and a commitment in a pub to stay sober. And to be quite honest with you, that didn't really happen this Sunday. I think everybody had a good time. Except me, I was sober. Me and David Logue were sober.
Oh, my dad was drinking neither.
As well.
Driving, so there you go.
Oh, was he?
My dad was
driving. I was class. I had a wee chat with him. There's a couple of times I've met him.
Aye, that's right, mate. Outside Celtic Park. Russell was really liking his jacket and shirt combo and was saying, "This suede jacket, can I have that?" So he was loving my dad's jacket. But yeah, it was a good night overall. So hopefully the next one, when it gets arranged, and there will be one further down the line. But I think some of our teams still need to recover from the other night. Hence why myself and Mark are the ones doing the Monday Tuesday club tonight. But we'll move on to the final talking point, and it is obviously again going back to the game coming up this week at Dingwall, the Dingwall blackout. Mark, now this has been a really contentious point. The television fiasco, because obviously we had the COVID year there where no fans could get in, and every single club allowed all the season ticket holders to watch games online, and then we came back with the fans starting to come back into stadiums. The streaming service was still available for certain games that weren't broadcast on Sky. You could watch it through a specific club's pay-per-view service for like $14.99, $15.99. As I said to Stephen the other night, I felt like during that whole period, we seemed to have about 5 or 6 of those games that season, when Rangers, I think, had like none. Every one of their games seemed to be live on Sky, but we were having to ship out money to Ross County, Hibs, Aberdeen, the lot. And even the famous Ross County game when Anthony Ralston scored the very late winner, that was on Ross County's pay-per-view TV last year. But apparently, our illustrious leader at the SPFL, Neil Doncaster, has now said there's going to be a crackdown this weekend on illegal streaming and so forth. And the only Celtic fans that are, well, there will be a stream out there somewhere, I would imagine. But realistically, the fans that are definitely going to see this game are the 1,400 Celtic fans that are travelling to Dingwall. It's quite ludicrous that this game isn't on the telly. I know Hearts and Hibs are playing this weekend, but you'd think that, again, this just goes to show the Sky deal. We're just getting a raw deal, aren't we, mate, at the end of the day from Sky? That's what it's coming down to.
If you take Sky out of the equation for 1 minute, mate, it's just a disgusting comment to make, cracking down on illegal streams. We're in a cost of living crisis, mate. People are making decisions whether they can put food in their fridge or keep the electricity on. And they've got people like that, millionaires speaking in that tone, a crackdown on people who are maybe getting themselves a wee stick so they can watch Celtic matches. I've got a subscription for Sky and all the rest of it, so I pay my way, but see the guys who can't afford it, I've not got a problem with these guys. It's disgusting language coming from somebody in that position, but Neil Doncaster, this guy's an utter arsehole. This guy is in charge of some of the biggest fucking disasters in Scottish football recent history. Every decision he makes seems to be done in the back of a fag packet. He's an utter arsehole. I mean, Sky signed a deal with Scotland last year for 49 games, I believe, and they showed 42. So that meant 7 matches were unshown that they'd paid for. Now, Sky haven't got a responsibility to show these matches. They've got a responsibility to pay for them. But the fans who are paying for these subscriptions have got a right for these matches to be shown. Otherwise, if you had bought that subscription for on the promise of watching those matches, you were sold short, and it's a fucking disgrace. And when I seen that headline, I think it was yesterday or the day before, honestly, mate, I was spitting feathers. I just thought it's just a smack in the face for anybody who's just getting by just now and want to take some of the small pleasures I've got off them. Don't get me wrong, they can do that all they want because it'll no work. There's too many good streams out there. I'll find a stream for Saturday morning because if it was on pay-per-view, I'd pay for it. I'd pay for every pay-per-view that I did in the last 2 years. Now, there's a UEFA blackout period where each country can't legally show the matches or else they get a fine from UEFA. It happened 4 years ago. There was an English game that Sky put out, but they just paid the fine. The FA paid the fine. So there is a way around it. But UEFA loosened these restrictions during lockdown. That was a good move by them. But I thought it opened doors for long-term plans for clubs who have maybe got fans who can't afford the £700 a season ticket. But it also created a wee avenue for clubs to make that wee bit extra money. I know 9 out of 10 folk were streaming it online, but there was guys like myself who were that daft to pay for it, and that's extra money these clubs wouldn't get. You know what I mean? And look at Scotland. We've got a game on Sunday, mate, right? Tonight as well. So we had Kilmarnock about 2 hours ago posting a statement to their fans. Basically, it was a statement to Celtic fans. It wasn't a statement to their own fans, stating that any Celtic fans found in the Kilmarnock end will be ejected without refund, and also match tickets are going to be £30. The most expensive tickets of that weekend, £30. £20 is plenty, as they say in the SPFL. And so we've got a board of directors at each club who are pricing fans out of football, and we've got a corporate governance who are that disgusted that fans have found their way to watch football for free, that they can't help but belittle everyone by using language like cracking down. It's almost like they're cracking down on people that are cheating them out of money. Nobody's been cheated out of money here, guys. It's guys who normally can't afford it, or guys who are just trying to find a way to watch the matches. It's a disgrace. Now, when Celtic had the Path to Paradise, it was criticised for the actual product itself. We had John Hartson talking utter shite. You know what I mean? You had Gordon Strachan staring at the sky when he was speaking and all the rest of it.
That's right, aye.
But it was giving guys who weren't able to get to the matches full. It was giving them a chance to watch the whole matches, and there's 2 ways of doing it. They can either stream it illegally, which they've all found a way, or they can do it in a service that Celtic function themselves and will receive financial gains from it, and that goes for every club. Now it just goes to show you how much of a backbone the guys running the SPFL have got and the SFA have got, that I'm convinced that they haven't even asked the question of UEFA. Look, what compromise can we come to here? Now we're not England that can pay the £200,000 fine every weekend. Okay, but what compromise can we come here? Is there advertising rights that we can give up? Is there advertising during the streams that we can hand over for free? Is there UEFA sponsorships we can promote during the broadcast? There would have been, I can assure you, Phil, there would have been a way around this.
Yeah.
And even if it was only one match a weekend, I mean, that isn't going to break UEFA's budget. You know what I mean? UEFA could have handled that. I'm pretty sure there's games all over the world that are getting a lot more publicity than Ross County versus Celtic. But the fact that a club at the Celtic size and Rangers, give Rangers the respect, a club at the size of Celtic or Rangers are playing on a match day on a Saturday at 12 o'clock and it's not televised. Is it 3 o'clock or 12 o'clock, Phil?
We're 3 o'clock on Saturday. I think the lone Scottish game that's getting broadcast this weekend is Hearts and Hibs are playing.
Hearts and Hibs. I understand that, mate. But if you can't relax the blackout period for that match, either pay the fine, come to a compromise, or at least do all you can to get that match on TV for your fans. You know what I mean? And the language itself and the narrative being pushed, these guys are some sort of cheats or some sort of fair dodgers by wanting to watch the match. It's just ridiculous. These guys who live and eat and breathe Celtic and they just want to see the match, and it's revolting some of the language these guys are hitting it with, you know what I mean?
Aye. Especially like you said earlier on with the Sky deal as well, where they only showed 49 games, they only showed 42 last season.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, but the problem I think we've got is I believe the English Premier League's back this weekend. Because last season, obviously because of it's usually the Scottish Premier League and the English Lower League start a few weeks before the Premier League. So suddenly Sky care about Scottish football. And for the first few weeks, they'll get a bit of prime focus. But it was only a 1 week buffer this time because the English Premier League's got to kick off with the World Cup coming in the winter. So this weekend it's the English Premier League's back. So Sky are going to be wall-to-wall English Premier League games. And we've not got a deal with BT and they also show Premier League and all. And so this is why. So they're looking at the fixture list and it's like, Hearts and Hibs are playing. So obviously that's the game that's going to get priority. But see, usually when Celtic or Rangers are in an away game, usually they'll get put on the TV. But see, you're right to call that out on the language getting used with the crackdown. And I think it was somebody came up earlier on in the comments saying Neil Doncaster marching into the Bullfrog this weekend, telling me get that TV off right now. They've got the game streaming. It's just again just another typical farce, another day in the farcical world of Scottish football. And Neil Doncaster, SPFL HQ, because this TV deal's no good. I don't know what the script is with how many years we're committed to this. Is there an option that they can break away from the contract if something better comes along? Probably not. You'll probably find that they're locked in now for the whatever number of years they need to be in it. So it is it's a worrying thought because the contempt that network show towards Scottish football is just embarrassing.
Well, you said contempt there, Phil. As I was leaving the game on Sunday there, I was going down the stairs from my turnstile exit, and there was a guy who was walking down the stairs, and he just walked by the Jockstein Lounge. You know, you can get in there from the stand itself, and it was just the guy was swearing, and that was what he did. He wasn't aggressive, and there was 6 or 7 police officers and 2 security guards. One had an earphone on like myself, and and the manhandled the man, physically took him, and they pushed him into a wee side entrance. That was for swearing. Walked down the stairs. I also seen a video of, I think it was a match with Motherwell at the weekend there. I think a complaint's been made by some MSP about the police. 15-year-old boy, I think there was like 4 or 5 grown men lying on top of him. They probably crushed the wee boy. The wee boy was 15-year-old. Similarly, some MSPs got involved. And I actually commented on this on my Twitter, and I raised the point I've seen. So there'll be security cameras, I'm pretty sure. So if Celtic or anybody watches the show or takes note of the comments from the MSPs, I think you should look at that video from the police on Saturday. 5-6 officers, big officers, and they took that guy right into the side, and the guy done nothing but swear. He was swearing walking the stairs, and they dragged. For I don't lie about these sort of things because there's a lot of arseholes in football. There is arseholes in football. A guy was just swearing. In fact, he had a jumper on with a kind of famous brand on the sleeve. And I think maybe that's...
Was he getting the badge in, basically? Is it one of those ones? Yeah, I know the brand.
Yeah, we'll just call it a wee target. And the guy was a target because of that, you know, and I thought it was disgusting, mate. And I was going to mention it to you guys on Sunday night. I don't know why I didn't mention it, but it was fucking disgusting, mate. And it's not the first time. I mean, I've been in supporters buses when they've stopped the buses on the motorway, and they can go into the boots. So when you're travelling on the motorway to sit in the middle of an hour, mate, the bus can't stop for you to go out and grab 2 cans of Stella.
Mm-hmm.
They actually stopped the bus and they've opened up the boots, took the drink out of the boots and just sat it on the side of the road and just kind of waved us on. And since when is it legal to take away somebody's shopping? If that's not open, since when is it legal to do that? You know what I mean? I've seen somebody saying that you can't travel on trains with even closed alcohol now. So what if your only way of getting to Glasgow town and back is train, and you happen to buy a bottle of wine for your dinner? You're going to get that confiscated because it's in a carrier bag. I said the distaste and disgust the government and the police etc. have got for football fans. We see this every day, not just on trains.
Yeah,
you go to a football match, Rangers fans, Celtic fans, and as soon as you wear that scarf, mate, you're treated like a second-class citizen, and it's a mistrust for you. You get bars in the back, you get pushed, you get guys staring with cameras right in your face, just holding cameras in your face. I mean, what other part of society do you see? I don't get that at a cinema. I don't get that at a restaurant.
Nope.
You know what I mean? I'm a part of the paying public. And I hope that guy who that happened to is watching this show, because if he has, just let the guy know I've raised this point to that MSP as well. I hope that the woman actually brings it forward to whoever it should be going to. But I've raised the point. It's disgusting seeing that guy being took away like that for swearing. It was just not on at all.
You're up against, man. That's absolutely shocking. Just hearing stuff like that again. Like,
it's not the first time.
Does it surprise me? And you say it's been going on for years now with the way football fans get treated in general and just society in Scotland. But that's what it is, mate. But we poured on now. Amazingly, mate, we've actually managed to hold an audience of over 100 people, mate. We've got 103 watching live as we come near the end of the show. So please hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share, all that other good stuff. And as Russell says, if you want to become a member of the channel, you can indeed. That option is available. Because obviously all that stuff all helps out the channel massively. Now, coming up this week, we've got a busy week going. Obviously, we did plan to do the whole 7 days a week. But yesterday, some of our team was still a bit tender after Sunday, and they're still a bit tender tonight. So tomorrow night, myself and Mark will be back again. We'll be joined by Johnny Logue, and we'll hopefully get Liam Greenlaw all the way from Canada, a man over in Vancouver, to join us for Bustalgia. It will be the early 90s. Oh, Mark, you get to talk about the board, the old board, the classic board. Oh, I'm sure you'll be in your element there with that one.
I look forward to that, mate. I think there should be a few folk getting a cup of tea and a biscuit ready, because I'm going to go on about a 10-minute rant about cunts, and I'm interested to hear what I'm going to say about them.
Aye, so it's
and a wee bit of the 90s. Aye, the 90s. So a lot of most of the folk on there, although I do believe a very young Peter Lawwell was round about the club just before then, which might surprise some folk, considering he's a superstar in their heads and it's just new. But I've been interested in watch for everybody who wants to see it. A wee bit of nostalgia or bustalgia, but also a wee bit of reflection on how fragile a football club is, and something that we hold dear could have been took away from us, mate. And there could have been guys in the early 20s that hadn't even seen Celtic play, had it played out differently. So we'll speak about that. We'll speak about how close the actual administration actually was. It wasn't as close as some people believe they want you to believe, but we'll speak about that on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to that show, mate. And I think a lot of our viewers are older guys, so they'll relate to it. And I think it's going to be a great show for anybody that's a bit younger, who's not all that versed in what actually happened in 1994 and the direction the club has took since. And it should be a good listen. I think you should set a reminder on the YouTube for that tomorrow, guys.
Well, Johnny, who's coming on, he was frequenting at Celtic Park through the late 80s and early 90s. And of course, as you say, anyone in the comments who's old enough to remember that, if you were involved in Celts for Change in any way, make sure you get your comments tomorrow, because tomorrow's going to be an education for me. When I did my Celtic story with Dale, I mentioned that I didn't really start following football until 1994, just after the takeover. Also, look at this. Better late than never. David Logue turning up.
That's
now.
Dave popped in.
He's coming in to get all the glory right at the end. Just like Peter Lawwell coming in to get all the glory, mate, when it's all going well. Welcome in, David. But yeah, I was just saying, like,
late substitution,
I've been watching football till 94, so tomorrow will be an education for me. A lot of the things you will need to, because I don't have any vivid memories of watching Celtic, because we're going to cover 1990 and 94 in sort of like one big lump rather than divide it all into doing 4 separate seasons. We're just going to group it all in together. But tomorrow will be a fun education for me on that one. And on Thursday, this guy that's just joined us, he'll be on with Connor and Russell, who will return on Thursday night, folks. Our illustrious leader will be back. David, how are you, mate, for the few minutes that you've came to join us?
Sorry I'm so late. I just thought I'd pop on just to say hi before you shut off. I was in the chat there for the last 5 minutes.
No worries.
And I thought I'd just catch you just before you go. Are we all feeling okay after the bullfrog that apparently didn't harm?
Apparently so. It definitely did.
I was definitely at the bullfrog. I was there, I was at the wrong pub.
No,
it was just the folks of Wi-Fi. There was no pub. Walked in and the first thing you saw was a big sign behind the bar that said pub, said no Wi-Fi. And that was it. There was no way we could. You couldn't. And the thing that Russell was explaining to me is the StreamYard and the webcam. You still need the Wi-Fi even to record it to then broadcast later. So it was just a go, unfortunately.
No, I didn't know that.
Aye, I didn't know that either. We can still record it and then we can show it at a later date. And that wouldn't work either. So, but like you were saying earlier, Mark, like because of the setup and the quality wouldn't have been great probably for people to watch live anyway. It would have been a bit of a, it might have been a bit disappointing. So I think when we can do it in a setting that's can be broadcasted, and like you say, have someone there that knows what they're doing, manning the laptop. We'll have a camera guy here, a camera guy there, a hard cam right in the middle.
Yeah. Alan Roberts is calling you. David says, David's been boozing. Your voice does sound a bit hoarse there, Mr. Logue.
No, I'm not. If anyone knows,
you were boozing. You're driving on Sunday, so you weren't boozing. But your voice does sound a bit hoarse, mate. Have you done a COVID test, mate? Have you done a COVID test?
Just doing them out. No. I've been working the day, and maybe I just chatted too much. Who knows? Maybe I was screaming on my favourite Belgian side. I'm only joking. Premier Sports, no thanks.
What was the score of that game? Out of interest, David.
Sorry, mate.
What was the score of the Rangers match? Out of interest, what was the final?
I think it ended 2-0. Ended 2-0.
Okay, I still fancy that mob to go through. If I've been totally honest, we used to.
It's only half time in that fixture, so you know. Can't rule.
So David, quickly before we wrap up, I think Phil's going to wrap up. So what did you think Sunday's match? Because we did a wee post-match there, and just get your thoughts on it, mate.
I enjoyed it. I think I just enjoyed it because it's good to get to see us playing a competitive game again. Like I said on Sunday, we just look like a fucking nightmare to play against. Like that must be an absolute nightmare. It's just constant. And I think now that it's Ange's second season, the guys are going to be at a fitness level even above, hopefully, than they were last year. That they're not going to drop off. We're not going to see that drop off after the 60-minute mark. We just, especially with the 5 subs rule, that's going to obviously help us a lot because that bench is ridiculously strong. I managed to catch what you were saying about the Jota situation. You'd rather see him on the left, Mark. I totally agree with you. I just am reluctant to see Maeda leave to sit on the bench. I just think what he brings to the team is just so important. The way that Ange wants to play, that work rate's second to none in the league, as far as I'm concerned.
You're right.
But I mean, you're totally right. He's limited when it comes to his ability. But I think what he does bring to the team, I think we could manage that with him on the right hand side. His game is literally kick the ball and run past the boys because nobody's beating him in the race. So I think we can sacrifice his strength, his stronger side, to have Jota on his stronger side. I think you saw how quickly the difference Jota was when he moved onto the left. Things just started happening a lot easier for him, and I think it's difficult to leave that out when you see that happening. But we've seen it. He did it at the start of both halves.
Yeah.
Started made on the left and then eventually swapped. So I mean, if we can do that, then if it's working, great. If it's not working, then Jota has to move over to the left and we find a way to get Abada, and Abada can come on. Or
I think that's fair, mate.
It's funny because we were talking about like we still want to see people coming in and we need to strengthen, we need to spend the money. But when I take a sit back, I go, who do I want to see drop out that team? It's really difficult. I think it's a really difficult squad to say. I'm quite happy if Hatate drops out, or I'll be quite happy if Yakimakis doesn't start. It's quite difficult as it is already. Of course, I still want to see more players come in and create competition, but it's going to be difficult for somebody to walk straight into that squad, I think.
Well, that's the thing, David. I think you're absolutely spot on. It's like the decision just now is, okay, do you want to see O'Reilly being put on the bench? But that's no our problem, mate. See if we get somebody who's just that level above O'Reilly, for talking's sake, then that's great for us as Celtic fans. Just say, for instance, like I'm a really, really big fan of Joe Hart, right? But see if Seagrass gets 2 or 3 games and just turns out to be there's no going back, Seagrass is the man.
Yeah,
then
fine.
I'm sorry, that's Hart's problem.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And the same if Kyogo, although he's utter class, if we happen to buy a striker who just turned out to be a level above him, then I'm sorry, Kyogo, that's your problem as well. You know, it's like we've got to be looking at getting ourselves in a situation where we are saying to ourselves, okay, we're happy with the level we're at, but if we can go one step further, it's not a personal attack on the player who's maybe dropping out because we've got an attachment to these guys. We've fell in love with a lot of them. But if we get that level above, then it's going to increase the level of the starting 11, but also give you the second choice to be at a very, very high level as well.
I think your example with Joe Hart's a perfect example for what we're talking about, because Seacrest wasn't brought in to be Hart's number one replacement. Like, he was brought in as a good quality supporting goalkeeper that's going to push Joe Hart. And like you say, if Joe Hart ends up dropping out for a couple of games to allow Seacrest game time, and it turns out he's now become the better option, then like you say, then okay, that's for Joe Hart to try and win his gloves back. So no, you're absolutely spot on.
But it's hard though, David, because you feel emotionally attached to these players. Like, I mean, we all know that I'm a big Ralston fan, and I love Kyogo, Yakimakis, and I love these players, and you emotionally get attached to these players. But see if the club decide to finance a player who's a better option or at that level above, it creates two positives for the Celtic fans. One, it raises the standards in that position, but also gives you an absolute quality backup player who you're more than happy with starting anyway. So it's a hard one, mate, because I agree with you. If Hatate was to drop out, or O'Reilly, or even somebody as important as a Jota, if we were to find somebody, which we won't, who's better than Jota, then that's for Jota to get to that next level and compete with that player. And it's the emotional attachment, because I don't want to see any of our starting 11 drop to the bench. But what we've found out with Ange is it's very much a squad game with Ange. I think I've not ever seen a squad be more utilised than what it has been under Ange. We're playing players a lot of weeks who are coming on and getting game time, and they're coming in and just playing like that, like they've just played the last 5 matches. They're just stepping into the position and just rolling with the punches, and they're not needing much game time to get to that level again. I think that's a lot to do with Ange and how he works them in training. And the prime example,
Kieran says there, he says, I love this squad, whoever's in form plays. But it's true, isn't it?
That's so true. And I think Ange just bred that mentality as well. Like, he's breeding a really competitive mentality within a tight-knit group of players. Like you said, we as fans are really struggling to pick a starting 11. That's what Ange wants. And look at that post-match interview. Some people might say he kind of almost criticised the players publicly. I'm not so sure if I want to call it that. I was quite taken aback by it, but at the same time, I kind of liked it as well. I think it's an elite mentality that not many managers... And Ange does it in a way that he's not coming across like he's being a bit of a dick and he's, having a go. He's just kind of just reminding the players, look, if you... you need to play to a certain standard if you want to. You've got, Kyogo, you're not going to take your chances, and Yakimakis will come in and he might take it. Jota, if you keep losing that ball in the first half, you better start making sure you do something a bit more in the second half. And of course, Jota basically went, fuck this, and decided to take it upon himself and score that absolute rocket. But I quite like that. When Sky had said, how good, Jota's goal, fantastic. And first thing Ange said was, yeah, but he was the culprit in the first half that I was just referring to, and he had to do better in the second half. And obviously, if Ange is giving them a bollocking at half time and told them, to stop wasting our chances, we should be 5-6-0 up here, then it's been taken on board, and Jota's taken the game by the scruff of the neck and scored that absolute beauty of a goal.
Yeah.
So keep it coming. Just keep it
that's
coming.
it, mate. The only people who's going to benefit from that is us, the supporters. But this is that, football is all about key moments and small margins. Now, 1-0 only takes a flick of a switch and it's one each. So Ange is letting the players know that, okay, we were top of the each man was getting better from the opposition the full match, but I was watching you and there was minutes that you could have made that decisive pass or took the shot on a lot earlier and created more space for somebody else or whatever. And what he's done is reminded the fans that he's on top of this as well, not just the players. And I felt like his criticism, if you want to call it that, was very measured. I felt like it was almost like a stabilising comment where he just wanted to say, okay, I'm not going to get carried away with the mistakes we made, but performance was good, but rest assured, the things in the match that I didn't like will be addressed Monday to Friday. And I think that's great coming from a manager after you win a match rather than a manager touching on points when you lose a match or drop points.
There's nothing wrong with criticism so long as it's constructive. And I've seen it as constructive criticism. He wasn't just criticising for criticising's sake and just having a pile on the players and saying this wasn't good enough and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was very constructive. This is what it was a good game. We got the 3 points. I was happy with bits, but there's always room for improvement, and this is what we need to do to improve. And there should always be room for constructive criticism. Otherwise, you're just going to start, becoming complacent, taking your eyes off the prize, and not keeping an eye on what's coming up behind you. And we can't afford to do that anymore. We just can't. We've seen what happened where we did, and I don't think Ange is going to allow that to happen. And I loved the comment. I loved the comment he made when almost the Sky Sports. I don't know who it was. You guys might know who it was, but he said, "Oh, you might want to put it down to it just being the first game of the season." And Ange said, "Yeah, but we've got to wait to the third game of the season. We've had a pre-season. That's what this is it. We're started now. We can't be missing chances like that. I'm not going to just say it's all right. It's the first and the second game of the seasons that they're allowed to happen. But we're just going to wait to the third." Now, I really like that. I think it's just an elite mentality to have in the manager. You can't be more pleased with it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the game, lads.
Nice one. We'll stick on because I'll catch up with you after the show because we'll get a wee powwow. Makes obviously UK on quite late in the day, so I'll do that. But anyway, so Thursday you're back on with Connor and Russell. I say Russell will be back. He'll emerged from his hangover. I'm sure by then he'll be on. Friday night, me and Russell will be on doing the bashing the bookies, even though we are both joint bottom of the table already. Yes, we are men. You can definitely trust in that aspect.
You must be shitting yourselves.
Oh, terrible. And Saturday, there will be post-match pish because obviously we're playing on Saturday. I imagine Russell will need to assemble a team who can actually see the game because obviously we're talking about that whole fiasco. And then Sunday will be the Sunday Bladder. Regan and Mark will be back on then. So yeah, we're starting going to hopefully get a show out every single day schedule now. So yeah, that's us, isn't it, boys? So yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up there. So as I say, we've tonight, I think we peaked at about 111 viewers live at one point. So phenomenal stuff again. And again, just reminding everyone, if you like, comment, share, and all the other good stuff, because YouTube loves channels that get interactions, everybody. It would do the channel a world of good. But until tomorrow, when I say me and Mark are back on with Liam from Canada and Johnny Logue, David's dad, it'll be Bustalgia. So make sure to tune into that, folks. It shall be a good one. So yeah, I shall cue up the old exit music and we shall head off. So thanks again, everybody, for watching, and we shall catch you later.
Thanks, guys.
Comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.